We had the opportunity a few years ago to do what I would call a dream job. An Italian authentic chocolate company that was based in northern Italy. We developed a custom word mark for them that took us months and months, but it was like a custom script. But on the folder, the sales kit that we had, we designed for them, we wanted a really large one that went up the vertical left side of the folder to be more subtle. And we decided to emboss that. Now, since it was so large, it wasn't really that difficult in theory to emboss. Then it was just a matter of what paper and what the depth was it going to have a bevel, those kinds of things. But my main concern on this one was we wanted it to bleed. And so I had to check with the printer first if we can do an emboss on the bleed. So they decided to go say that it wouldn't be a problem because they'll do the emboss before they trim the folder out. But the main thing here was to try to get more impact on the cover where you can actually feel something because the paper was quite plain. The other thing too is that when you do sales kit folders, you want to spec, in this case, especially in food, if it's going to be thrown around kitchens or whatnot, you don't want the food to soak into the paper, so you might consider using a coated paper instead. The printer was excited about that because they know that they can do a heavier hit and get more detail on the emboss than an uncoated. They would have to hit it harder on an uncoated. And in this certain case, this is what's called a blind emboss, meaning there's no ink registered to the emboss at all. They just have to hit it based on the position of it to the registration marks. So it's much easier to blind emboss than register emboss. The readability of this wasn't really a concern because the logo is so big, the characters are so large. I was just mainly concerned on the proportion of the X height to the page for the readability. And this is also meant to be felt, not necessarily read first. For folders, cost is always a determinant in trying to see how many you're going to print, or vice versa, what you're going to do to the surface, because the typical size for a sales kit folder is about 9 by 12. What also determines cost is paper and technique like embossing. The other thing was a concern is if this large embossing on the cover would be covered up, because as you know, burnishing happens on the opposite side. And so with a pocket on the left side and with the sales sheets and letterhead in it, you don't see the burnishing on the opposite side of the front of the folder. You can a little bit at the top, but since the whole inside is painted like a chocolate brown, it's not really that apparent.